What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Unscripted podcast. I'm your host, Joseph Wilson, and I'm joined as always by my esteemed co-host, Dexter Tucker.
What's going on, fam? How y'all feel?
And this is the podcast where we have unscripted conversations with millennials about relationships and dating. So I appreciate you guys once again showing up. Yo, we're getting closer to that century mark. We are getting closer and closer to episode 100. And guess what? For episode 100, I have a special guest who will be joining us. I'm not going to tell you who they are just yet. Just know that y'all are going to want to be there for that one. This is actually episode 95, I think. Yes, this was episode 95. We've been doing this a while. We're not new to this. We're true to this. And we're just going to keep going with these great conversations. So if you missed last week, you missed a good one. We were joined by LaShawna Smith, who is a collegiate track coach. And we talked about how you can actually balance and manage life while still trying to build a deep and intimate connection with your partner. She gave some great tools and strategies on how to juggle things that are responsibilities. Like, we're grown, we're millennials, we have real life responsibilities that can't go unchecked. But she gave us some great ways to be able to better manage those responsibilities that we have, all the while still building and growing the connection that you have with your partner, because nobody really wants to do life alone. So she gave us different ways that you can get that thing together. So Dex, what's going on in your world?
So I finally finished watching Demon Slayer Mugen Train, and my heart is broken. Just broken. I'm not gonna spoil it for anybody that's in the anime, but just know I'm sad, and I can't wait for season 2.
Oh man, so I watched episode 1. I haven't picked it back up yet. But then all of a sudden I saw there's a movie. Didn't realize they have like a whole movie thing coming out, so I need to hurry up and jump back on that.
Hurry up.
Yeah, because I know you don't want to be the one to spoil it for everyone, and everyone's like, I don't want to. I'm not watching this. You got to, what is it called? It's not a trigger warning. It's spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Yeah. Or say it's spoiler-free review or something like that, because they got a bunch of those. But you guys, something else we got going on. Listen, the Flip the Script Relationship Wellness Group has been in full effect this month. We just wrapped up our first, what's it called? Our expert, what is it? What was I calling it, Dex? I forgot.
First guest.
Yeah, our first guest. I forgot. I had a cool name for it. What was the name? Topic expert or something. I forget what it was called.
Subject matter expert. That's what it was.
Subject matter expert. That's what it was. And Mac did a really great job of sharing with our community the cheat sheet for dating. Like, if you want the actual cheat sheet on how to actually have success at a very high rate, y'all need to just go ahead and join the Flip the Script Wellness Group. We meet every Sunday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we grow, we learn, we share our experiences, and we are going along this journey of love together. You don't have to do it alone. So if you're interested, please head on over to ftswellnessgroup.com/community, where you can join us in just walking alongside you guys in this journey of love. So we got another great conversation. I think it's one that'll be very meaningful, will be very impactful, and it will help people really get a jump start or restart their dating and relationship experience. So let me go ahead and get this guest in here. All right, so go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Aaron Snyder. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I am born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. And I primarily work with couples and families. So I'm pretty well versed in talking about these type of conversations in dating and relationships.
Yo, so I don't think people realize how rare it is to have Black males in the marriage and family therapy field. Like, there are very few. There are plenty of LPCs. There are plenty of licensed clinical social workers. But I can almost count on my hand how many marriage and family therapists that I actually know that are Like it's crazy. I had Jay Barnett on here.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Yo, he's been killing it, but he's a marriage and family therapist. Yeah. You don't see too many like that. Mm-hmm. And I think we're really just breaking down that stigma and blazing the trail for other people to come alongside us. I even know some young men who are like, I want to be a marriage and family therapist. And it's like, yo, you would have never thought like that young men would be in their high school, getting ready to go into college and say, I want to help couples and I want to help families. I think it's a great thing for the community. I think it's a great thing for the culture. So I appreciate you being on this call with us, and I'm excited to see what we're going to have come out from this. So we want to do a little bit of get to know you. So here's the first question. What do you like to do for self-care?
Well, you know, I like to do all type of things for self-care, but my main self-care thing that I like to do is to play Call of Duty Warzone online. That's like the thing that I go to when I have a stressful day. And if I can't play the game, I might go to the gym or I might do some writing. So I got a few go-tos, but Call of Duty, that's my thing right there.
Okay. See, I can get with Call of Duty. I could never do Halo. I don't know what it was when the Halo like fanatics, like I can't do the space jumping. I like true to life kind of stuff.
You say what?
I like stuff that's true to life. Like war is like Call of Duty is real tactical kind of stuff. Not let me jump and float and then I think I shoot you and then you disappear and all that. Nah, I don't do all that. Yeah. So that's cool. So what is your favorite? I don't like to say it's your last meal, but if you were going to have one meal that you were just absolutely needing to fuel your soul, what meal would that be?
Oh, well, you know, I don't want to sound stereotypical, but I'm a big fried chicken man. You know, I got to have my fried chicken. You can't go wrong with the fried chicken. So if I had one meal that was going to be possibly my last, it's going to be the fried chicken.
Wait, is it fried hard?
Yeah, you got to fry hard. You got to fry hard. You already know it got to be fried hard.
Wait. So how else are people frying chicken?
They ain't frying it hard.
Like, is it still like light and pink or something?
No,
like,
it's just kind of like soft and soggy. Like you can have that crunch on your fried chicken. Even if it ain't really fried, like even if you go somewhere like Wingstop or something, you still got to fry them things hard.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So the world is back open. As people are saying, we back outside. So where's one place that when you get a chance to, you'd like to just be able to go, relax, enjoy the sights, enjoy the food? Where do you want to go?
I would like to go to Canada because right now, you know, in Detroit, you're on the border of Canada and they're not allowing anybody into Canada, even though everything is kind of back to normal. So I would like to go to Toronto or maybe Windsor, you know, and just see some of the sights and just get back out in that Canadian atmosphere. I really enjoy it out there.
Oh, that's dope. And I didn't realize they weren't letting us in. There's a lot of countries that are like, we not ready just yet. Like y'all cool, but y'all can't come inside our house yet. Like y'all can buy stuff. Y'all can send pictures, you can tag us on Instagram, but you can't come in. You can't come through their borders. So that's great. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for allowing us to get to know you a little bit better. But let's get to what everybody came here for. So one of the most important things that people can have when dating or in a relationship is confidence. But unfortunately, everybody is not born with charisma. People aren't born with the pizzazz. People aren't born with boldness to be able to operate in relationships in a way that helps them get to their desired end. A lot of people have dating anxiety or have some type of roadblock that is preventing them from either approaching somebody that they'd like to start a relationship with, or it is preventing them from taking whatever necessary steps needed to actually grow the relationship they are currently in. And so today I want us to talk a little bit about self-esteem. And what's kind of funny is people tend to think because we're adults that our self-esteem is a non-existent thing.
Mhm.
They think of it as an aspect of our life that when you were in grade school, that you should have already had all together by the time you're in adulthood. But as therapists, we know that when people have unresolved issues in their childhood, it tends to show up in very maladaptive ways in adulthood. So first and foremost, Aaron, what is self-esteem for those who may need a refresher? Because listen, it's been a long time since we've been in grade school. What is self-esteem?
Well, self-esteem in itself is subjective. So I want to say that first and foremost. But to me, what self-esteem is just the way you view yourself. Your internal perspective of who you are at your core is what self-esteem is.
Mm-hmm. Dexter, what do you think self-esteem is?
I mean, for me, self-esteem is just it's like Aaron says, almost verbatim how I believe it as well. It's just how you see yourself, your perspective on you, like your intrinsic view on you and how you see yourself and how you believe in yourself and what capabilities you have or don't have and how you act upon that accordingly day in and day out, whether it's your job, family members, relationships, whatever it is. It's believing in that capability that you have to do something well at whatever it is.
So, Aaron, what are some external factors or internal factors that impact or shape how you actually view yourself?
I think, like you were saying earlier, our early life experiences, I think the way we view ourselves in most cases, at least when people don't do the necessary work or have yet to do necessary work, I think the early life experiences, like your childhood, even those first few years of your life that you don't even recall, are what shapes self-esteem. So if, for instance, if you had a parent who was not necessarily the most accommodating or loving parent or even just responsive parent, that can shape itself later on in life to you being not necessarily believing that people will be responsive to you, or maybe people might have been harsh or critical towards you. And that's how you go into life expecting other people to be towards you. So in other words, those early life experiences set the basis for how you deal with other people moving forward in life, especially in relationships.
Mm. That's dope. I love that perspective because it's like a lot of people from what I've seen, even when I was dating before I was married, I've come in contact with a lot of people who were so abrasive, when talking to them, because it's like, I'm giving you something simple, like asking you, I know it sounds elementary, but what's your favorite color? And it's like, it's a whole issue. It's like, wait a minute, why are you doing all of that? I just asked you what your favorite color was, why are you doing all of that? And it's just and it all comes from early childhood where I had a parent that was abrasive where you couldn't really be open to them. And then now you feel like you have to gut punch every question that somebody throws at you. So, I mean, it's very true. It's very true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what impact do you feel self-esteem has on someone who may be dating? Let's start with dating first. I think relationship is completely different, but let's start with dating. What impact do you feel self-esteem has on how somebody dates?
I think self-esteem has an impact on how you date in terms of your expectations. Like a lot of times people go into a dating situation, like just meeting somebody for the first time, y'all talking, y'all ain't even got no type of title yet. And, you go into that expecting rejection because that's what you're used to. Your self-esteem, your internal dialogue is almost preparing you for that. So you start to move in certain ways, expecting that to happen. So a lot of times when people have low self-esteem, for whatever that means, at least from my interpretation of what low self-esteem is, they don't expect much out of their partners. They expect things to go terribly. And, that tends to shape the relationship that they have with that person that they're dating.
And what's crazy? It's definitely a lens. Your self-esteem is probably one of many lenses that we use to view the outside world. And I can remember that there was a time where before I really got like started dating, like I didn't really keep myself up. Like I would rarely get a haircut. But then all of a sudden I was like, you know what? Let me get myself together. Like let me put my swag on or something like that. And I started getting a haircut regularly. I started dressing differently. I got the waves, and all of a sudden I started realizing, oh, people, listen, women are treating me differently. And my self-esteem started to go up because of external things that were going on. And what's crazy is the perspective that we have, it can be very fluid. And it's based on what's happening or what's not happening. So when I think of like self-esteem, I don't think people realize that there are things that you can like do to change how you feel, how you view yourself. Yeah. And one of the things, Dexter, we just recently had was a fitness episode where we talked about getting healthy and how when you actually get healthy, get the blood pumping and start living a healthy lifestyle, your view on yourself actually changes. And I think that's also tied to like self-esteem. Like how am I viewing me? And one of the basic things, like if I don't like what I see in the mirror, like it's going to be hard for me to believe anybody else can see anything different. What are y'all thoughts on that?
I think that, you know, with that, that's a lot. It's so much truth to that, because I know for me, I was the exact same way. Like I had got out of a bad relationship, and then I was just stuck in a rut. Like I didn't believe me a lot. I didn't trust. Man, I didn't think I had it. I really didn't, to be honest with you. I didn't think I had it anymore. You know, because that had ended, and you know, I wasn't taking care of myself the way I should. I wasn't focusing on me the way I should, and I just lost myself because that had left such a bad impression on my self-esteem. And it's like, well, if that ended, then nobody else is going to want me. If nobody else is going to want me, then I shouldn't do this and I shouldn't do that. There's no point. And, you know, I had got to such a low point. It's like, you know what? I need to do better with myself, because I finally like saw myself in the mirror. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Like, you know, I'm overweight. I'm not taking care of myself, not eating right. And then just doing those small things, realizing I need to do this for me, helped me realize just how important self-esteem is, because that's the key part of self. Like I can't depend on somebody else to give me something that I'm not giving myself already. So I believe that 100%.
Yeah, I believe it too. You know, I think a lot of times the way you see yourself has a lot to do with what you're doing for yourself. You know what I mean? Like if you taking care of yourself, you start to see yourself different. It's almost like a material possession, right? Like a car, for example. When you taking care of that car, you see it differently, you know. And you know, a lot of times people have like cars, they don't take care of them because they don't see those cars as valuable. So when you see yourself as a value possession or a valued thing, you take care of it better, and people respond to you better, and you feel better, you know. So I think external and internal go hand in hand, but a lot of times that's where we get into trouble too, because we base our self-worth on how people treating us externally. And the truth of the matter is sometimes people are not going to see your value, you know what I mean? And it's not necessarily your job to show them your value. You have to believe that you're valuable. If I got a diamond that's worth $1 million, if somebody don't recognize that that's $1 million diamond, that's their loss. You understand? So we got to go through life in that mentality that, you know, my worth is there. It's up to you to see it. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, you got to fix yourself up. You got to have something to build on, of course, because you ain't going to, I don't care how much self-esteem you got. If you walking around looking crazy, you're not going to value yourself too much. But what I'm saying is at the end of the day, it's there. You just got to bring it out.
Yeah, we can't if we are truly diamonds, we can't take the word of someone else who says we're Cupid zirconium. Just because they don't see it, just because they don't have an eye for it. And it's funny how you say, like, even just your own upkeep, working with people who have depression, one of the things that are very simple things to do to help them kind of switch their mood and switch how they're viewing themselves is, when was the last time you took a shower? When did you go get a haircut? And some people may think, well, that's just common sense, but people don't realize the impact that those activities and actions have on how you feel. Like, you could ask any guy, you go get a haircut, you feel different.
what?
Even if you were having a bad day, you go get a haircut, you feel them clippers, they dust you off, and now you're going, like, you feel better. So there's something to be said about how your self-esteem improves as you take care of yourself. But here's the thing. What's the difference between having a really good, healthy self-esteem view of self and being conceited? Because I don't know, I'm a big fan of New York hip hop. Remy Ma used to have a song that says, "I'm conceited, I got a reason, I look way too good to be stuck with you." Like stuff like that. Like, what's the difference between having healthy self-esteem and being conceited?
I think the difference between healthy self-esteem and conceited is healthy self-esteem is more of an internal conversation that you're having with yourself. You know what I'm saying? You think you the ish, and you don't care who know it. You're not comparing yourself to anyone. Whereas conceitedness is all about comparison, is all about outdoing people, is all about putting yourself on a pedestal in comparison to the people around you. Self-esteem is just internal. It's an internal comparison. I'm only competing with myself. Conceited is where you looking at everybody else, you looking around, you say, well, I'm the best at, you know, and that's very unhealthy, because just like you put yourself on that pedestal against everybody else, somebody gonna come along and knock you right off of it. But when you only competing against yourself, it's kind of hard to do that.
So what you think, Dexter? What's your view?
This is how I see it. Like, when you meet someone that has like healthy self-esteem, like, it's infectious. And the one thing I've learned about that is with self-esteem, you know, when it's healthy, it's not self-serving. Because what happens is you want to boost up somebody else, that you see somebody else doing the same thing that you're doing. And, you know, it becomes an infectious thing with that person. You build up their self-esteem. They want to build somebody else's up. It's like, it's a domino effect with it. But when it comes to somebody being conceited, it's like almost toxic, because it's like everybody has to do all this work just to boost your head up, you know, and everybody's responsible for, you know, feeding that monster at the end of the day. It's kind of like, if you like comic books, right? If you like Spider-Man, like, everybody knows that Venom is a symbiote. And, you know, with Venom, like, he depends on Eddie Brock to feed him, because if he doesn't have Eddie, then he can't survive. He can't survive on his own without him. So it's like, when you have a conceited person, they can't survive without this over here, because somebody has to constantly feed that. And it's almost like lust, almost like it will never be satisfied, because it's always comparing, it's always needing, it's always wanting. And it's never just in a place where it's able to just live.
Okay. That's good stuff. So I want to move to another area of this. So, and I want to stay away from social media. I want to go to like movies. I want to talk about entertainment, because Netflix, Hulu, all of these streaming services, their stock has gone up crazy since everybody had been in the house. But even now that everyone's back outside, they are still soaring. And a lot of people are consuming a lot of films, a lot of TV shows, a lot of reality TV in this day and age. What impact do you guys feel that our media is having on how people view themselves, especially if you're in a relationship?
Yeah, you know, I think that it has a very negative impact. And I think it has a negative impact because we as consumers, the people who watch TV, we don't really understand everything that goes into the images that we see before us. Like, you know, I hear a lot of people talking about, oh, I want that little Dirk and India love and whoop-de-whoop. And you see that on Instagram, but you really don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And I think that sets a lot of us up for failure, this consumerism mentality when it comes to TV. We think it's these people's real lives, you know. We see all these celebrity A-list couples and we just want to live up to those things. And when we don't get them, it's a catch-22. It knocks us down. We think we don't deserve those things, but the truth of the matter is we don't know what these people's relationships are. We don't know what their ups and downs are. We don't know how this man treating this woman behind the scenes. We don't even know if they look how they look on Instagram, you know. So I think the biggest problem that a lot of us have in that regard is that we're not understanding that we looking at the highlight reel of these people's lives. We're not looking at the day-to-day operations. So if we keep that in mind, then we'll put ourselves in a better position to not have those self-esteem deficits.
Man.
What about you, Dex?
Man, that's real, because I feel the exact same way, because it's like you don't know the ins and outs of a relationship. It's like Aaron said, you only see the highlight reel. You don't see, the day-to-day of how it's able to function. You don't see that. You just see the good scene in the movie, and it's the unrealistic part of where they fight and argue over something small that don't even need to be on TV at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's like this big, grandiose gesture that's been done to win that love back, and you've gone through traffic and you beat TSA, which is a lie. And you've done all of that just to get to her. You're like, will you marry me? All of a sudden, it's like, that's not real. That's not reality. At the end of the day, and all of us want a fantasy, but the reality of it is like, it's going to take work to get that. It's going to take work to be with somebody and to, have the self-esteem to actually and actively push through what it takes to be with somebody. Because this thing it's not for the fearful at heart. You think it's just going to be easy? Nah, it's not.
Mm-hmm. Listen, Aaron, I think people think we're lying when we say that media and what we consume has a negative impact on our connections and our relationships with people in the real world. They think we're making this up, but there's tons of research that support like what you take in through your mind actually starts to shape and starts to make you behave a little differently in your own relationships. For instance, I used to, like when I was doing in-home therapy and I was working with kids, I used to run into a bunch of kids who were just very violent, hitting, punching, kicking their siblings, and they would not stop. But what I come to find after, you go through all of the different criteria and look at what all is happening in their life, you find that a lot of these kids are watching an extreme amount of fighting shows where there is active punching violence. So in essence, they are mimicking what they're seeing without understanding what it is they're seeing. And I think with media, a lot of us will see what's going on in a movie. They'll see a romantic scene and wonder, why is it not like that in real life? Not understanding, like you said, but what goes into that in real life is not the same. How many times do we work with couples and their expectation of what they want does not match what actually happens in real life? It's a very common thing because we view what I think is sensationalized, and they highlight so many of the extremes on the spectrum that you never see the day-to-day. So people are thinking that, man, my relationship is messed up because it don't look like what's happening in the movie, or because something didn't happen as easily. Like Dex said, listen, we know that if we try to get through TSA that quick, they stopping us. There's gonna be listen, we're brothers. We gonna get the random search. All right, come over here, stretch out your arms. Like we gonna get that one. We not gonna be that lucky. But because we've seen it so often, and that they've made it such an ease of process. When it comes to our real life, now my self-esteem is down because either I'm saying, man, I didn't do something right and I'm messing up this relationship, or man, why aren't they working like that? Why didn't they go to that extreme? Am I not worthy of what it is they're worth that effort? And so I think it pushes the extremes. What are y'all thoughts on the media sensationalizes the negative aspects of relationships? A lot. We have plenty of shows like driven and spearheaded on the idea of toxic relationships. What are some of y'all thoughts on like what's going on? Why do y'all think they're getting so many views? What are your thoughts on those?
I mean, it's at the end of the day, we set the precedent. We do, and that's what people are wanting to see. And it's like toxicity has been glamorized to the point where it's like there's a power that comes from it. There's like a certain level of like a lust that comes from it, because people feel like the more toxic it is, the more passion there is when it comes to emotion, sexuality, all of that. I feel like there's all this passion that comes from it. But anybody knows that if a raging fire burns long enough, it's gonna die out after a while. Like there's nothing to sustain it. So there's no sustainability when it comes to that. it's just like the heat of the moment. No, Drake. It's the heat of the moment that like drives that, and people are wanting the heat of the moment. They're not wanting the longevity that comes with it, because it's like people don't want to be bored or whatever. It's like people are like fearful of boredom, and it's like there's no boredom in longevity. It's what you do in those moments, day in and day out, that carries you through, and that's what it is. People don't want to be bored, and they want passion, more burning passion, and more so than when they want the longevity of love.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head with that one. That's exactly what I was thinking. You know, it's just people want drama, they want excitement, and they don't realize that that's a very unrealistic expectation to go into a relationship. And like he said, it's not sustainable. Like after a while, you're going to be overloaded with passion and toxicity, and it's not going to be exciting no more after a while. You know, after a while, it's going to get toxic for real. Like it's not going to be something that's exciting to you. So I agree 100% with that. You know, that's what people want. They think they want it because they're looking at these highlight reels and they're saying that this is intriguing and this is exciting. But when you getting that consistently, it's no longer exciting.
Right. And think about it. Like, and for a lot of people, if it's not that exciting all the time, then it's like, what am I doing wrong? Bringing it back to self-esteem, you start to view yourself different because the passion that you once thrived on is no longer there to the same level that it was, let's say, in the beginning or after some major accomplishment. It's not a realistic, sustainable type of love or excitement that we're able to receive, but we're looking for those highs all the time.
Yeah.
And when you fail to reach those, which research shows that after 2 years, you can't sustain that super, super high intense love. It's not sustainable over a lifetime. There's a different type of chemical that's released in your brain that helps you bond for a long-term committed relationship. It's different. It's biology to that. But people start feeling bad that they don't hit those peaks. And now it's like, man, I've done something wrong. Maybe I'm broken. Like I hear that all the time. Maybe I'm broken, that things aren't as hype and as passionate as they once were. No, I think it's always important to, like we said, have a healthy view of self and allow ourselves to be the determining factor on how we view ourselves and what our role in the world is. So we're going to go ahead and transition to our last segment, which is Flip the Script. And Flip the Script is where our guest provides a simple tool or strategy to address a topic, challenge, or situation that we discussed in this episode. So Aaron, you ready for your question?
Yeah.
All right. So what is one way someone can increase their self-esteem so that they can be more confident when they're dating or when they're in a relationship?
I think one way that you can do that is by knowing what it is that you want and knowing why you want it. So essentially what I'm saying is have a value system coming into it. Know exactly what type of person it is you're looking for and know why you're looking for that person. So maybe your value system might be, I want somebody that's hardworking. I want somebody that's supportive. I want somebody that's at least a 7 on a 1 to 10 scale. And when you have those values, it gives you a sort of a compass or sort of a roadmap to know what isn't acceptable. And a lot of times people go into relationships not knowing what they want, so they put up with anything because they don't have any sense of direction. So if you know what you want going into it, that's going to help your self-esteem automatically, because it's going to give you an alarm or sort of a notification in your mind to say, okay, this ain't what I want. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that don't have that internal value system, they just going to go wherever the wind blows them and then end up getting those bad relationships, those bad situations, and that does nothing but reinforce the ideal that they aren't worthy. So when you have a value system, you already know if this ain't meeting that value system, you got to go.
All right, and there you guys have it. That is this week's Flip the Script. Aaron, thank you for joining us this week. And please let everybody know where they can find you on the internet and social media.
Okay. My name is Aaron Snyder, LMFT. You can find me on Instagram. The handle is down there at The Mental Health Matters. So that's at THE Mental Health Matters. The name is the same on Facebook. And you can also find me on Twitter My handle is at 1MHM Matters. And then I also have a blog, www.thementalhealthmatters.com.
All right, and I will put all of his information down there in the show notes so you guys don't have to go try to figure it out as you're driving. Wait till you get to your destination, because I know a lot of y'all listen to this on your way to work. So I just thank everybody for joining us this week. Also, don't forget, you guys can join the Flip the Script Relationship Wellness group if you want some additional help and just to have some support as you're going through this journey towards love. Also, head on over to iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher Podcast, comment, rate, and subscribe. If you're in podcast land, head on over to YouTube at Love Unscripted HD, where you can see the full episode for this show. And follow Dexter at scholarly_gent. And we will see you guys in the next one. We may not, I messed it up again. We may not have all the answers, but we will have the conversation. We'll see y'all next time. This is Unscripted. Peace.
Peace, y'all.